Hopefully I'm not going to get demonetized for showing this cover on this video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another horror manga review video. Today we are going to be taking a look at Day of the Flying Head by Shintaro Kago. Hopefully I'm not going to get demonetized for showing this cover on this video because it's a little out there, but we'll see if it makes it by. It's a pretty ambiguous one. But this is a crazy book. Shintaro Kago, as you may know, is known for his sort of surrealistic, I don't even want to say gory, but it definitely involves like mutilation and people being disassembled, but in a very like stylistic way that almost never involves like death or anything like that. It's usually just these weird conceptual stories that are almost an excuse to like disassemble the characters that are in his manga. It's very surreal, bizarro kind of storytelling. This work in particular is about people whose heads spontaneously pop off of their bodies. It takes that idea all over the place. It goes in places you never thought that prompt could take you. This is actually based on some folk tales from various Southeast Asian countries where figure's head detaches from the body with its entrails being dangled behind it, and it's often a vampiric character that will go and bite people just as this floating head. It's a pretty spooky creature, but he takes that idea and rather than approaching it as a monster, he uses this concept of beings whose heads detach from their bodies as the center of this like weird sci-fi dystopian, very artsy tale. I won't describe too much of the actual story content because, to be perfectly honest, it's impossible. You've got to read this if you want to see where that sort of idea could go. His artwork is super impressive, detailed, technical stuff, and the story is insane and weird and all over the place and super fun to watch it all unfold. This is the sort of comic that feels as much like a piece of art as it does a story, and so highly recommend checking this out. The prompt for this, the idea of these figures whose heads detach from their body, as I mentioned, is based on an actual folklore creature, and something that's just interesting for me on a personal note was that I was actually aware of that type of creature due to a book that I read at my school library when I was a kid called The Very Scary Dictionary. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of reading that in your childhoods, but I actually went back and bought a copy of that book in my adult life because it was a pretty influential book for me. And I'll just show you guys the page that was my first introduction to the concept of this sort of creature, which was the first thing that came to mind when I saw this book by Kago, and when I read the back of it and saw that he had based it on actual folklore, it sort of confirmed that this childhood memory for me, which is of this creature here, the Pananga Lan, which is this sort of disembodied head with its organs trailing behind it. This is an actual folklore creature. It's like a vampiric creature whose head detaches from its body and it floats around at night and bites you and drinks your blood. And this was definitely a book with some creepy stuff in it that maybe someone as young as I was shouldn't have been reading, but I'm very glad that I did. And it was just a funny full circle moment for me to then see something else that was referencing this really obscure folklore creature that I read about when I was a little kid. And so that's what this is about. So this book is actually a collected volume of a series of zines that this publisher, Hollow Press, had put out previously. So they were 4 zines that were each an individual chapter of this story, and for this they put them together in a digest format. So I actually have those zines and the collector edition box that you can get for them, so I'm going to show you what they look like as well, just so you kind of know where this comes from. So this is a box that you could buy separate from the zines. It's a collector's box. They had 128 of these made, and the main thing about this box is that it also came with an original piece of Shintaro Kago artwork, which was the main reason I picked it up. There, so the top slides off of the box, and it's made to house these zines, which kind of sag down. It doesn't really hold them, I think, the way they intended, because the flaps inside are kind of flimsy. I don't know if you can see that. So it doesn't support the weight of all of these, but they still go in there, and it still does the job well enough. And these are the 4 zines that they put out. I'll show you the covers for all of them. This is the first issue here. Got the second one. The third one. And the 4th and final one. And this is a super weird series. It's the same content that's in this new collected digest, just in individual zine format. And just as a side note, these are fantastic quality zines. They have this like nice glossy finish on the cover. They're on really thick card covers with this nice matte finish on the back. Each one has different artwork on the back. And the individual pages are like a thick cardstock that's like, it just feels really great. And just to show you as well, inside my collector box here, I actually still have the original piece of artwork. So this is an actual page from the manga. This is, it says in the corner there, page 29. So this is the actual piece of cardstock that he drew it on, the actual ink on the page. This is an original piece of artwork. And each of these collector boxes came with one of these. So that was really cool. I'm going to get mine framed up at some point and display it somewhere, but for now it's just sitting in the box. So yeah, that's Day of the Flying Head. This is a super high quality book, similar to the zines. It's got a nice glossy finish on the cover, and the pages themselves are like this really thick, heavyweight paper. Like it's really a cut above any kind of manga you're going to buy from any other publisher. Hollow Press is definitely known for not just putting out comics and manga for the sake of putting out the material, but also collecting things in like an archival quality that's really going to last. They treat their books almost like fine art prints or something. So it's just really, really impressive quality. And it's not that expensive despite the quality. This is 20 euros, which I believe was closer to like $25, $30 Canadian for me to buy, which US, it's probably closer to 20 bucks. It's not that expensive for a volume of manga, especially of this quality. So I highly recommend picking this up. I'm going to put a link down in the description to Hollow Press's website, who produced this. They're a French publisher doing really great work, putting out a lot of Shintaro Kago work. And I highly recommend picking this up. I'm not sure if it will be in stock at the time that I put this video out, but they do tend to restock randomly some of their old stuff, so even if it's out of stock, keep an eye on there and you might be able to catch one. And there's also a lot of other great stuff on their website that you can buy. So yeah, I highly recommend this volume. This, I would say, is one of the best entry points into Shintaro Kago's work. It is not as gruesome as some things like, for example, Superdimensional Love Gun, which was published by Faku. That one's a collection of short stories, and some of them range from pretty tame to something that might make you cringe or wince a little bit, because they get into kind of gross or gruesome territory. This has like you know, the kind of gore, but it's not really like death gore or like bloody gore. It's just like organs and stuff, so it's very stylized, and I think it's really approachable in that sense. There are Shintaro Kago works that have no gore at all if you really can't deal with that sort of thing. Dementia 21 is a series that was recently published, and it's more of a comedy sort of thing, like a surreal comedy. Very little actual gore stuff going on in that one. So if you really don't like that kind of thing, you can check that one out first. but I would say this is a better representation of overall what Kago is known for. So that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely a different sort of title, not something you're going to see reviewed everywhere, I'm sure. I'm trying to make sure we cover the weird ones as well, not just all the Junji Ito and the very popular, trendy stuff. So let me know in the comments if you've heard of Hollow Press and if you've been following the books they've been putting out, if you've been picking up any of the Shintaro Kago titles. If you guys like this video, feel free to give it a like. It really helps us in the YouTube algorithm. And if you like this sort of content and you want to see more, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of our future videos. So that's it for this one. Happy horror manga reading, and I will see you next time.